If you're hooked on Marvel Cosmic Invasion with that mix of cooperative brawling, polished sprites, and on-screen chaos, then stay tuned. Today, I'm bringing you a list of games that deliver exactly that same energy. Sometimes with more aggression, sometimes with more style, and sometimes with a gameplay system so satisfying that you finish a stage and immediately want just one more. I'm going to show you 10 games that any Cosmic Invasion fan needs to know. Modern beat-em-ups that respect the old school, classics that still give a masterclass in rhythm and impact, and a few picks that feel tailor-made for those who love combos, co-op, and go me and my friends against the world feeling. So, smash that like button to help this video reach more people. Comment which game on the list you like the most, and let's get into it. If Marvel Cosmic Invasion grabbed you because of its pure arcade energy and combat that turns the screen into a party, Jitsu Squad is one of those beat-em-ups you play for 10 minutes just to test it out, and, before you know it, you're trying to pull off flashy combos like it's a fighting game. What stands out immediately is how the game embraces exaggeration, fast-paced action, a cartoonish look, and a controlled mess that makes every fight feel like an anime episode. The kind where fights escalate out of nowhere. And yes, you can play with up to 4 people in local co-op, which turns any stage into the best kind of cooperative chaos. The kind where you start combining attacks without even realizing it. Now, where Jitsu Squad really wins me over is when it starts flirting with a fighting game mentality. It has a heavy focus on combos, and even a parry counter system that reminds you of that Street Fighter 3 flavor, but applied to a brawler context. It's the type of mechanic that makes you play, quote, more seriously, without the game losing its accessibility, because you feel like you can evolve and get more stylish with every run. Then there's the most addictive part, the Fury system, where you fill a meter, for example by picking up items during the stage, and choose between entering a temporary power state or spending it all on a screen-clearing super move. This kind of choice adds a great arcade spice, that now is the time moment, and fits perfectly with the frenetic brawling premise. I also love how it tries to keep the campaign varied. There are missions on different planets/themes, like going from prehistoric scenarios to a modern Japan vibe with Yakuza and Oni-style enemies. So it feels like a crazy road trip, always changing the flavor of the combat. As you progress, you can collect scrolls that grant XP and unlock new moves, providing that sense of progression that makes you want to replay it with other characters. The Ninja Savior's Return of the Warriors is one of those beat-em-ups that will transport you straight back to the glory days of 90s arcades, but with a fresh look and much more polish. The game is a remake of the classic The Ninja Warriors, originally released in 1987. But here you find everything redesigned: high-definition 16-bit pixel art, fluid animations, and a remastered soundtrack by the legendary band Zuntata, which makes every fight even more memorable. The gameplay is straightforward but full of personality. You control cyborg ninjas, each with unique fighting styles, abilities, and special moves. There are 5 playable characters, including 2 new ones, and you can choose the one that best fits your style, from the slow and powerful ninja to the fast and agile one. The game features 8 linear stages with hordes of enemies, challenging bosses, and the option for 2-player local co-op, bringing back that fun of playing with a friend on the couch, just like the old days. The brawling is frenetic, and the control response is excellent, with no annoying delay. You can mix throws, blocks, evasive attacks, and specials seamlessly, making every combat feel super fluid and satisfying. The visuals explode with detail. When you or a boss are defeated, the body explodes to reveal internal metal structures, a touch that makes everything feel even more Cyber Ninja. The only potential downside is that the game is short. The arcade mode shouldn't last more than an hour and a half, but the goal is precisely to bring the essence of a classic beat-em-up, with replay value boosted by the variety of characters and fighting styles. If you want a game that reminds you of Marvel Cosmic Invasion in its energy, aesthetics, and direct action, The Ninja Saviors is a surefire hit for those who love to hit hard and have uncomplicated fun. If you fell in love with Marvel Cosmic Invasion for its brawling energy, stylized combos, and anime vibe, Phantom Breaker Battlegrounds Ultimate is a beat-em-up that will make you feel exactly that, but with more of a fighting game twist and a lot of visual personality. The game is a complete remaster of the classic Phantom Breaker Battlegrounds, now rebuilt from scratch in Unreal Engine 5. Which means incredible graphics, fluid animations, and a remastered soundtrack by the J-rock band The Phantom Breakers, making everything even more striking and immersive. The story revolves around a group of girls who must rescue a sister kidnapped by the mysterious Phantom, who promises wishes to the winners of battles using special artifacts. With every fight, these artifacts create cracks between parallel worlds, leading to a journey full of bosses, twists, and plenty of stylish brawling. The gameplay is direct, but with layers of depth. Besides traditional combos, you can unlock special skills, upgrade attributes like strength, speed, and defense, and even use a power meter for devastating attacks. Each character has their own unique style, and you can play in local or online co-op with up to 6 players on screen, turning any session into fun chaos. The game also features an arcade mode where you can choose from 38 playable characters, including bosses and enemies, each with their own moves and distinct mechanics. This greatly increases replay value and gives it that fighting match feeling within a beat-em-up. Phantom Breaker Battlegrounds Ultimate isn't a game that hooks you for hours with a complex story, but it's exactly what you're looking for when you want pure fun, satisfying combos, striking visuals, and brawling that reminds you of the best moments of Cosmic Invasion, just with even more style and personality.
Here goes!
River City Girls puts you in the shoes of Kyoko and Masako, 2 tough high schoolers who need to rescue their boyfriends kidnapped by the city's gang. The brawling is frenetic, full of combos, throws, special moves, and even magic attacks, all presented with 16-bit pixel art graphics that recall the best arcade games of the 90s. The gameplay is straightforward, but layered with personality. You can choose between the 2 heroines, each with different fighting styles, and unlock new moves and upgrades throughout the campaign. The game also allows for 2-player local co-op, turning every session into a punch fest, perfect for playing with friends. The soundtrack is one of the game's biggest stars, featuring synth-pop songs that add even more energy to every fight. Anime cutscenes and manga panels that punctuate the story reinforce the visual identity and make the experience even more engaging. The game also has RPG elements, such as earning experience, money, and upgrades, which gives you a taste of evolution and makes you want to replay with different characters. Additionally, the story is full of twists, eccentric characters, and a pinch of humor that keeps everything light and fun. River City Girls isn't just a fun beat-em-up. It's a celebration of Japanese culture, female empowerment, and the energy of classic games, all mixed in a creative and engaging way. If you enjoyed Cosmic Invasion, this is the kind of game that will make you smile, hit hard, and feel like part of a story full of style and personality. "99 Vidas" is a beat-em-up that will transport you straight to the good old days of 90s arcades, but with a Brazilian flavor and a unique visual identity. The game is a direct tribute to classics like Streets of Rage, Final Fight, and Double Dragon, featuring 16-bit pixel art graphics that evoke all the nostalgia of the games that dominated arcades and consoles of that era. The soundtrack is striking, full of pop and electronic references that give even more energy to every punch. The story is simple but engaging. You control characters inspired by pop culture heroes and villains, facing hordes of enemies and challenging bosses across 6 main stages, plus bonus stages. There are 11 playable characters, each with unique skills and combos, providing plenty of replay value and making you want to test every fighting style. The game allows up to 4 players in local and online co-op, turning any session into a brawling party. Furthermore, it features versus mode, survival mode, and options to customize combos, making every match even more personalized and fun. The combat system is fluid, with combos that can be upgraded throughout the game and 2 special attacks per character, along with 3 types of weapons to vary your strategies. The difficulty is adjustable, so both beginners and veterans will find a challenge at their level. 99 Vidas is not just a beat-em-up. It's a celebration of Brazilian games, pop culture, and classic energy, all mixed in a creative and fun way. If you enjoyed Cosmic Invasion, this is the kind of game that will make you smile, hit hard, and feel like part of a true retro brawling journey. 99 Vidas is not just a beat-em-up. It's a celebration of Brazilian games, pop culture, and classic energy, all mixed in a creative and fun way. If you enjoyed Cosmic Invasion, this is the kind of game that will make you smile, hit hard, and feel like part of a true retro brawling journey. If you enjoyed Marvel Cosmic Invasion for its intense brawling and frenetic action atmosphere, Redeemer is a beat-em-up that will surprise you with its mix of classic brawling, tactical action, and stylized violence, all wrapped in a cyberpunk aesthetic that perfectly matches the spirit of modern games. The game puts you in the role of Ivan, a former elite agent who needs to redeem himself while facing hordes of enemies in futuristic urban settings. The gameplay is very fluid. You can punch, kick, grab, and throw enemies, as well as use objects from the environment as improvised weapons, giving a very raw and visceral feel to every combat. The combat system is quite deep, with the possibility to block, counterattack, roll to dodge, and even use improvised weapons like sticks, knives, and even chairs. This makes every fight feel more tactical, almost as if you were memorizing enemy patterns, something that slightly resembles the vibe of games like Hotline Miami, but in a beat-em-up format. The visuals are striking, dark tones, neon lighting, and a heavy soundtrack that makes every scene even more immersive. The bosses are large, full of personality, and require different strategies, which increases the sense of progression and challenge throughout the campaign. Additionally, the game has 2-player local co-op, which turns every session into an even more chaotic brawling party. The story mode is relatively short, but the replay value comes from the combat mechanics and the possibility of trying different approaches in each stage. Fallen City Brawl is that beat-em-up made for those who love dry, direct brawling with an arcade feel. And anyone who enjoyed Marvel Cosmic Invasion for its energy and rhythm will feel at home very quickly. It delivers a very eye-catching pixel art aesthetic and a very 80s and 90s premise, clearing the city with your fists, stage after stage, with that atmosphere of decadent streets and gangs dominating everything. What grabs me here is how the game tries to balance nostalgia with modern seasoning in its combat. Besides the basics of punches, kicks, grabs, and throws, it plays with counters/counter attacks and specials that make the fight more dynamic than it seems in the first minute. In many reviews, the combat is cited as the big highlight precisely because it is fluid, satisfying to hit hordes, and features those moves that clear the screen and provide immediate satisfaction. For those who like variety, the foundation is clear. There are 4 playable characters, and the idea is for each to have their own identity and some different abilities/ultimates, like a character with a shotgun, another throwing tools. Even if the general feeling remains relatively similar between them. This is important because when a beat 'em up is short, you want to at least feel like replaying it with another character just to see the chaos in a different way. And speaking of chaos, Fallen City Brawl gives you that nice freedom to use improvised weapons and environmental items, as well as taking advantage of enemy drops, which is a classic brawler spice that always works. Reviews reinforce this as part of the game's flow. You're hitting, you pick something up off the ground, you change the rhythm, go back to the combo, and keep moving forward without stalling. In co-op, it also hits the play together and laugh spirit, but with one limitation. The co-op is local and locked to 2 players, with no online option. Still, for me, beat 'em up is a genre that gains a whole new life when you have someone by your side. And this one seems exactly like the type of game that gets funnier when it turns into shared messiness. School Hero is an anime-style beat-em-up that fits perfectly for those who enjoyed Marvel Cosmic Invasion for its unbreaked arcade energy. But here, the fantasy is a classic one. You are the new kid at school, and you'll have to beat everyone up to save your girlfriend kidnapped by a malicious group. The game sells itself on its identity. Very colorful pixel art mixed with anime-style cutscenes, creating that vibe of a 2000s cartoon that became a game. And to be honest, this mix works because the brawling is direct and the visuals make everything more charismatic. Every hallway, courtyard, and school arena becomes a stage for exaggerated scenes just the way beat 'em up fans like. In terms of gameplay, the promise is the good old beat 'em up formula with a bit more spice. Many enemies on screen, weapons to pick up off the ground, the ability to grab/throw, and a rhythm designed for you to keep alternating between offense and crowd control. It's the kind of game that makes you want to play putting on a show, trying to land clean sequences instead of just mashing buttons to move forward. The detail I find most interesting, especially for those who like progression, is that it has an XP system to evolve the protagonist, and a shop to buy items like 1-ups and energy/health resources. This changes the feel of the game significantly, because you're not just clearing stages, you're building your character, which gives that little push to replay and get stronger/more efficient. In terms of modes, it's not stuck just in the campaign. Besides story mode, there's arcade and survival, and you can even choose the difficulty. For me, this is essential in a beat 'em up, because the genre shines when you want a quick session, arcade, or when you want to test combat mastery and endurance, survival. Delicious.
Well, I'm not surprised.
Final Vendetta is a beat 'em up for those who love hardcore brawling, with that cruel arcade seasoning that makes you want to improve by force. And if Marvel Cosmic Invasion won you over with its energy and rhythm, you'll feel a similar vibe here, just more grounded and gritty street. The story hook is very direct and works precisely because of it. A gang dominates the city, and the goal is to fight through urban areas to solve the situation the classic way, without much stalling. It's the kind of plot that exists to set you in motion and give you an excuse to get into fight after fight. And honestly, that's all a beat-em-up needs when combat is the focus. What stands out most in the feel is how the game tries to capture the aggression of Final Fight. Heavy steps, impact on hits, and a cadence that rewards those who know how to space, pull enemies to the right spot, and not panic when the screen fills up. I like it because it makes you play with attention. It's not just about hitting attack. And that makes every stage more memorable, especially when enemies appear that punish silly mistakes. The characters follow a very classic genre philosophy. One faster and more fragile, one stronger and heavier, and one balanced. So you can choose the flavor of your brawling. And here is where the game shines for video content. You can comment on how each style changes the way you approach bosses, how certain moves control the crowd, and how the right character makes a stage easier without necessarily being broken. Another thing that fits very well with those coming from Cosmic Invasion is the hunger for combos. Final Vendetta is one of those games that makes you want to play beautifully, not just survive. When you get into the rhythm, alternating advances, defense, positioning, and finishers, it becomes a performance game. Almost as if each stage were a stage for you to do a cleaner run than the previous one. To wrap up, I would put Final Vendetta as the perfect recommendation for those who want a modern beat 'em up with an old school mentality. Short, intense, made to be replayed and mastered.
Easy!
Raging Justice is a beat 'em up that will transport you straight to the glory days of the arcades, but with a modern twist and plenty of personality. The game puts you in the role of a police officer who needs to clear the city streets of crime and corruption, facing hordes of enemies in frenetic and stylish combat. The aesthetic is marked by exaggerated visuals, vibrant colors, and direct references to classics like Streets of Rage and Final Fight, but with a pinch of humor and irreverence that makes everything even more engaging. The gameplay is direct, but with layers of personality. You can choose from several officers, each with unique skills and combos, and unlock new moves and upgrades throughout the campaign. The game also allows for 2-player local co-op, turning every session into a punch fest, perfect for playing with friends. The combat system is fluid, with combos that can be improved throughout the game, and 2 special attacks per character, plus 3 types of weapons, to vary your strategies. The difficulty is adjustable, so both beginners and veterans will find a challenge at their level. Additionally, the game features an arrest warrant system, where you can choose between arresting enemies to gain health and complete challenges, or simply going all out and causing chaos. This choice adds extra spice to the experience, making every match unique. Raging Justice is not just a fun beat 'em up. It's a celebration of classic games, the spirit of justice, and arcade energy, all mixed in a creative and engaging way. If you enjoyed Cosmic Invasion, this is the kind of game that will make you smile, hit hard, and feel like part of a true retro brawling journey.